Purple mist swirled around the landing platform as Queen Lyra's ship touched down. She stepped out, her golden scales catching the artificial light of her palace. The diplomatic talks had been long and boring. All she wanted now was to rest in her private chambers and count her treasures like she did every night before sleep. The palace workers rushed toward her, but she waved them away. "Leave me be," she said. "I wish to walk alone." Her voice echoed through the crystal corridors as her footsteps clicked against the polished floor. The renovation work had been going on for months. Strange alien workers from different planets had been fixing pipes, updating computer systems, and improving the lighting. Most of them worked during the day when she was busy with royal duties. As she walked deeper into the palace, Lyra noticed something odd. The usually busy corridors were too quiet. No sounds of drilling or hammering, no alien voices discussing their work. She checked her internal clock. It was still working hours. Where was everyone? Her curiosity got the better of her. Instead of going to her chambers, she decided to check on the work progress. The main hall renovation looked good. New crystal. Panels reflected rainbow colors across the walls. The throne room upgrades were nearly complete. Everything seemed normal until she reached the restricted wing. This area housed her most precious possessions, ancient artifacts, rare metals, and technological wonders she had collected over her long life. Only her most trusted servants were allowed here, and only when she was present. The heavy doors should have been sealed, but she noticed they were slightly open. A soft blue light leaked through the gap. Anger flared in her chest. Someone was in her treasure chamber without permission. Her dragon instincts screamed at her to burst in and deal with the intruder immediately. But her royal training held her back. She needed to know what was happening before she acted. Lyra pressed herself against the wall and listened. She heard the soft hum of machinery and quiet human muttering. A thief, she thought. Some clever human had probably bribed a guard or hacked the security system. She had dealt with treasure hunters before. They usually tried to grab the most valuable items and run. This one would regret his mistake. She pushed the door open just enough to peer inside. What she saw made her freeze completely. A human male knelt beside her collection of ancient power cores. But he was not stealing them. His hands moved with incredible care as he worked on the largest core, a device that had been broken for over 3,000 years. She had kept it only for its historical value, never expecting it could work again. The human held a tool she did not recognize. It looked like a combination of human technology and something else, something that reminded her of old dragon designs. Blue energy flowed from the tool into the power core, and impossible as it seemed, the ancient device was glowing with renewed life. "There we go," the human said softly. "Just needed the right frequency. The original builders really knew what they were doing." Lyra watched in shock as he moved to another broken artifact. This one was a communication device from the first Galactic Empire. It had been silent for 5,000 years. Every expert who examined it said it was beyond repair. Yet the human connected several thin wires to its base and began working with the same careful precision. Her treasure chamber looked different now. Items that had been dark and lifeless for centuries were glowing softly. Artifacts, she thought, were decorative, were humming with power. The human had not just fixed them. He had made them better than they originally were. The communication device suddenly sparked to life. Ancient text scrolled across its surface in a language that had been dead longer than most civilizations had existed. The human read it easily and made notes on a small device. "Fascinating," he said to himself. "The power distribution system is actually more efficient than our current designs. If we could adapt this to modern ships..." Lyra realized she was holding her breath. This was impossible. Humans were known for their basic technology. They had only joined the galactic community a few hundred years ago. Their machines were crude compared to dragon engineering. Yet here was one human doing what the greatest minds in her empire could not do. She decided she had seen enough. Stepping into the chamber, she let her presence fill the room. The human should be terrified. Dragons were legendary throughout the galaxy for their power and anger. Most beings trembled just being in the same room as one, but the human just looked up calmly and smiled. "Your Majesty," he said, setting down his tools and standing. "I was hoping to finish this before you returned. I know this looks strange, but I can explain everything." His lack of fear surprised her almost as much as his work had. "You are in my private treasure chamber," she said, letting a small amount of fire escape her nostrils. "Touching artifacts that are priceless. Give me one reason why I should not end you where you stand." The human gestured toward the restored artifacts. "Because I have been fixing them, not stealing them. Look around, Your Majesty. Half of these pieces have been broken for thousands of years. Now they work again. Some work better than they ever did." It was true. The chamber was brighter than she had ever seen it. Devices she had long forgotten about were running smoothly. Even the air felt different. Cleaner, somehow. "How?" she asked. The single word carried all her confusion and growing curiosity. The human picked up one of his tools. "My name is Ben, Your Majesty. I am not just a simple mechanic. I represent a group that has been studying these technologies for a very long time. We have learned to understand them in ways that might surprise you." He activated the tool and held it out for her to examine. This device combines human engineering with design principles we learned from studying dragon artifacts. We call it a harmony resonator. It finds the original frequency of broken technology and restores it. Lyra leaned closer, her scientific mind overcoming her anger. The tool was beautiful in its complexity. Human components were seamlessly integrated with what looked like ancient dragon circuitry. But that was impossible. Those designs had been lost for millennia. "Where did you get dragon technology?" she demanded. Ben smiled again. "That, Your Majesty, is a very long story." The ancient crystal throne had never felt less comfortable. Queen Lyra sat rigidly as Ben continued his explanation, her sharp eyes watching every movement he made. He had accepted her invitation to discuss his impossible work, though she was not sure if it was truly an invitation or a royal command that he simply could not refuse. "You claim to understand dragon technology," she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "Show me." Ben nodded and reached into his tool bag. He pulled out a small device that looked like it had been made yesterday, yet Lyra recognized the design patterns immediately. It was definitely dragon-made, but the style was older than anything in her collection. Much older. "This is a memory core from a dragon ship," Ben said, holding it carefully. "We estimate it is about 12,000 years old. It was found floating in deep space, completely dead. Our team spent 2 years learning how to revive it." He connected the memory core to a human tablet. The screen lit up with symbols that made Lyra's breath catch in her throat. The language was ancient Draconic, from a time before the Great Empire Wars. She had studied it as a young dragon, but few others even knew it existed. "These are star charts," she whispered, leaning forward despite herself. "Yes," Ben said. "But not just any star charts. These show trade routes and colony locations from before the Galactic Dark Age, places that have been lost for thousands of years. The implications hit Lyra like a physical blow. During the Dark Age, most civilizations had destroyed each other, or simply vanished. The dragons had survived by hiding and sleeping through the worst of it. When they emerged centuries later, vast amounts of knowledge had been lost forever. These charts could lead to lost worlds, ancient technologies, maybe even other dragon survivors. "How did you read this?" she asked, touching one of the symbols on the screen. Ben smiled and touched another control. The ancient draconic text shifted and changed, becoming human letters. "We developed translation software. It took our best linguists and computer experts working together for years. But we did it. Lyra stared at the translation. It was not perfect, but it was close enough to be useful. Humans had decoded her ancestral language without any help from living dragons. The achievement was remarkable and deeply troubling at the same time. "You have been studying us," she said. It was not a question. "We study everyone," Ben replied. "Humans are natural learners. We see something we do not understand, and we have to figure out how it works. Sometimes we find broken pieces of ancient technology. Sometimes we trade for devices that other species consider useless. We take them apart, study them, and try to understand the principles behind them." He gestured toward the restored artifacts around them. Most species just use technology without really understanding it. They follow the instruction manuals and call for repairs when something breaks. Humans are different. We want to know why something works, how it could work better, and what we can learn from it. Lyra had to admit there was truth in his words. Her own engineers were skilled at maintaining dragon technology, but they rarely invented anything truly new. They followed ancient designs and tried not to break anything important. The idea of taking apart priceless artifacts to understand them would horrify most of her advisors. "Show me more," she commanded. Ben activated several more devices. Each one told the same story. Human ingenuity combined with recovered ancient knowledge to create something new and better. A dragon power cell that could store twice as much energy. A communication system that could reach across entire star systems instantly. A material fabricator that could create substances stronger than anything currently known. "This is impossible," Lyra said. But even as she spoke, she knew it was not. The evidence was all around her. Humans had somehow managed to understand and improve upon technologies that her own ancestors had created. "We prefer to think of it as improbable," Ben said with a grin. "Humans have a talent for making improbable things happen." He pulled out another device, this one clearly of pure human design. It looked simple compared to the hybrid technologies, just a small black box with a few controls. "This is a pattern scanner. We use it to analyze the internal structure of objects without damaging them." Ben pointed the scanner at one of her oldest treasures, a dragon ceremonial blade that had belonged to her great-grandmother. The device hummed softly, and detailed blueprints appeared on his tablet screen. "The metallurgy is incredible," he said, studying the readout. "The blade uses a crystalline matrix structure that we have never seen before. It would be stronger than diamond and lighter than aluminum. If we could figure out how to replicate this process, you would have weapons that could cut through anything," Lyra finished. "Actually, we were thinking more about construction materials. Imagine buildings that could flex with earthquakes but never break. Ships that could travel through asteroid fields without worrying about damage. The defensive applications alone would revolutionize space travel." Lyra found herself thinking like an engineer instead of a queen. The possibilities were endless. Dragon metallurgy combined with human manufacturing could create materials beyond anything either species had achieved. Alone. "There is something else," Ben said, his tone becoming more serious. "We have been analyzing the energy signatures of your palace systems. Your power grid is incredibly advanced, but it is running at only 30% efficiency." "That is impossible," Lyra said. "Our engineers assured me that the palace systems were optimized." Ben shook his head and showed her another readout. "The individual components are working perfectly. The problem is in how they connect to each other. The harmonic frequencies are slightly misaligned, causing energy to be wasted as heat and background radiation." He stood up and walked to a wall panel. "May I?" he asked. Lyra nodded, curious to see what he would do. Ben opened the panel and connected one of his devices to the internal systems. Immediately, the lights in the room became brighter and steadier. The subtle humming that had always been present in the palace walls faded away. "The power consumption just dropped by 40%, Ben said, reading his instruments. "The system is now running at nearly full efficiency." Lyra felt a mixture of admiration and embarrassment. Her engineers had been maintaining these systems for decades, never realizing they could perform so much better. A human had fixed the problem in minutes. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked. "What do you want?" Ben packed up his devices carefully before answering. "We want to work together, Your Majesty. Humans have the curiosity and analytical skills. Dragons have the advanced technology and ancient knowledge. Apart, we are both limited. Together, we could accomplish things that neither species has ever imagined." He looked directly at her, his expression completely serious. "We want to build a partnership that could change the galaxy." 3 days had passed since Ben's revelation about partnership. Lyra had spent those days in deep thought, consulting with her advisors and running security checks on the human mechanic. What she found only deepened the mystery. According to all official records, Ben was exactly what he claimed to be: a simple maintenance worker hired through a standard contract agency. His background was clean, his credentials were valid, and his work history showed nothing more exciting than repairing air conditioning units on cargo ships, yet she had seen him work miracles with technology that baffled her greatest minds. She summoned him to her private study, a smaller room filled with books and ancient maps. This time she wanted answers without the distraction of his impressive demonstrations. "Your records show you learned basic engineering at a community college on Earth," she began without greeting. "You have no advanced degrees, no special training, no access to classified research, yet you understand technologies that predate most galactic civilizations. Explain this contradiction." Ben settled into the chair across from her desk. He looked comfortable, which irritated her slightly. Most beings showed more nervousness when facing royal interrogation. "The records are accurate, Your Majesty," he said. "I did go to community college. I did work as a basic mechanic for several years. But that was before I met the Void Walkers." "And what exactly are these Void Walkers?" Ben was quiet for a moment, as if deciding how much to tell her. "We are humans who specialize in understanding alien technologies, not copying them or stealing them, but truly understanding them. We study the principles behind how they work and find ways to improve them." "How many of you are there?" "A few thousand, spread across human space. We work in small teams, usually 3 or 4 people with different specialties. We find each other through our work. When someone shows unusual skill with alien technology, we approach them." Lyra leaned back in her chair. "This sounds like a secret organization." "Not secret exactly, more like informal. We do not have official leaders or government backing. We just share information and help each other learn." "Show me your credentials," she demanded. Ben pulled out his tablet and activated a program she had not seen before. The screen displayed what looked like a complex certification system, but the symbols and designs were unlike anything from known human institutions. "This is a competency rating system we developed ourselves," Ben explained. "It tracks what technologies each member has studied, what improvements they have developed, and what knowledge they can share with others." The display showed Ben's profile. His knowledge ratings were impressive, covering dozens of alien technology types. But what caught Lyra's attention was the section labeled Dragon Systems Analysis. It showed completion percentages for hundreds of different dragon technologies. "You have studied us extensively," she observed. "Your technology is some of the most advanced we have encountered. Also, some of the most elegant. Dragon engineers understood principles that most species never discovered." Ben touched another control, and the display changed to show a galactic map. Dozens of star systems were marked with different colored symbols. "These are locations where Void Walker teams are currently working," he said. "Blue markers show where we are studying recovered artifacts. Green markers indicate active collaboration with local species. Red markers—" "What are red markers?" Lyra asked, noting there were quite a few of them. "Problem areas. Places where we have found evidence of technologies that should not exist. Devices that are too advanced for the species that claim to build them." Energy signatures that do not match any known power source. Lyra studied the map more carefully. Several of the red markers were in systems she knew well. What kind of problems? We think someone is seeding advanced technologies throughout the galaxy, giving different species access to devices they cannot fully understand or control. We have found identical energy cores in use by civilizations that have never had contact with each other. The implications made Lyra's scales tingle with unease. You believe someone is manipulating galactic development? We are certain of it. The question is who and why. Ben changed the display again, this time showing technical specifications for various devices. Look at these patterns. The same harmonic frequencies appear in technologies used by species thousands of light years apart. The same metallurgical techniques, the same power distribution methods. Could this be natural convergent evolution? Lyra asked. Similar problems leading to similar solutions? Possible, but unlikely. These are not just similar solutions. They are identical solutions, down to microscopic details. Someone is spreading the same technology base across multiple civilizations. Lyra felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air temperature. If Ben was right, someone with incredibly advanced capabilities was playing games with entire species. The thought that her own people might be pawns in some larger scheme was deeply disturbing. How long have you known about this? She asked. We started noticing the patterns about 10 years ago. At first, we thought we were seeing coincidences, but as we gathered more data, the evidence became overwhelming. Have you shared this information with human authorities? Ben shook his head. Human governments are focused on expanding territory and building trade relationships. They would not understand the significance of what we have found. Besides, we are not sure who can be trusted. What do you mean? Some of the suspicious technologies we have found are in use by human colonies. Either humans are being manipulated like everyone else, or some humans are part of whatever is happening. Lyra stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the city below. The lights of millions of beings going about their daily lives twinkled in the distance. Were they all unknowing participants in someone else's plan? Why are you telling me this? She asked, without turning around. Because dragons are old, Ben said simply. Your species has survived longer than almost any other. You have seen galactic. Civilizations rise and fall. If anyone would have records of unusual activities or mysterious benefactors, it would be dragons. And because you need allies, Lyra added. Yes, Voidwalkers are good at understanding technology, but we are terrible at politics. We need partners who have influence and resources. Dragons have both. Lyra turned back to face him. What exactly are you proposing? Ben leaned forward, his expression intense. Full information sharing. Your historical records combined with our analytical capabilities. Your manufacturing resources combined with our innovation. Your political influence combined with our knowledge of what is really happening across the galaxy. And in return, we help you become more than you ever imagined possible. We show you how to build technologies that will make your empire the most advanced in known space. We give you the tools to protect your people from whatever is coming. You believe something is coming? Ben nodded grimly. All this technological seeding, all this manipulation, it is building toward something. We just do not know what yet. Lyra sat back down, her mind racing through possibilities. The offer was tempting, but also dangerous. Allying with humans would change everything about how her empire operated. Her advisors would resist. Other species would be suspicious. But if Ben was right about the hidden manipulation, she might not have a choice. I need proof, she said finally. Show me evidence of these identical technologies. Show me data that supports your theories. If you can convince me that the threat is real, we can discuss partnership. Ben smiled. I was hoping. You would say that, Your Majesty. I have a ship waiting in your outer system. My team leader is aboard with everything we have learned. Your team leader? Dr. Anna Rodriguez. She is the one who first recognized the patterns we have been tracking. She is also the best engineer I have ever met. Lyra made her decision. Bring her here. But understand this. If your claims prove false, if this is some elaborate human deception, you will regret it. I understand, Your Majesty, but I promise you everything I have told you is true. Dr. Anna Rodriguez was not what Lyra had expected. The human woman was small, barely reaching the Dragon Queen's waist even in her humanoid form, with graying hair and hands stained by years of working with machinery. She carried herself with quiet confidence, showing none of the fear or awe that most beings displayed in the royal presence. Your Majesty, Anna said with a simple nod. Thank you for agreeing to see me. They met in the palace's secure briefing room, a chamber designed for military planning and diplomatic negotiations. The walls were lined with displays that could show anything from star charts to technical blueprints. Anna had requested access to these systems, and Lyra was curious to see what the human would reveal. Ben tells me you have evidence of galactic manipulation, Lyra began. Show me. Anna activated her own portable device, and the room's displays came alive with data. Charts, graphs, technical specifications, and analysis reports filled every screen. The sheer volume of information was impressive. We call them shadow technologies, Anna said, pointing to a series of device schematics. Advanced systems that appear throughout the galaxy with no clear origin point. They show up in the hands of different species, sometimes separated by thousands of years and vast distances, but they share identical design principles. She highlighted specific components on the schematics. Look at these power coupling designs. We have found them in use by 17 different civilizations. The beings using them believe they invented the technology themselves, but the mathematical relationships are too precise to be coincidental. Lyra studied the displays carefully. The technology shown was definitely advanced, incorporating principles that she recognized from the oldest dragon archives. These designs are based on ancient dragon engineering concepts, she said. Exactly, but not just dragon concepts. We have also found elements derived from other extinct civilizations. The Builders, the Shapers, the Harmony Collective, species that disappeared thousands of years ago. Anna changed the display to show a timeline stretching back millions of years. Someone has been collecting technologies from dead civilizations and redistributing them to current species, always in ways that seem natural to the recipients. What purpose would this serve? Lyra asked. We believe it is preparation, Anna replied. Someone is upgrading the technological capabilities of multiple species simultaneously. The question is, preparing for what? Ben stepped forward and added his own device to the display system. Show her the convergence analysis, he said to Anna. A new set of charts appeared, showing technological development curves for dozens of species. The lines were startlingly similar, all rising at nearly identical rates despite the vast differences in the civilizations involved. This is impossible, Lyra said. Different species develop technology in different ways. Their biology, psychology, and social structures all affect how they innovate. Under normal circumstances, yes, Anna agreed. But these are not normal circumstances. Someone is guiding development to ensure all major species reach similar technological levels at approximately the same time. When? Lyra asked, though she suspected she did not want to know the answer. Based on current progression rates, we estimate that all major galactic civilizations will reach peak technological capability within the next 50 years, Anna said. Whatever is being planned, it will happen soon. Lyra felt the ancient dragon, instinct for danger awakening deep in her chest. Her species had survived by recognizing threats early and preparing for them. This felt like the biggest threat she had encountered in centuries of life. What do you propose we do about it? She asked. Anna smiled, and Lyra suddenly realized that everything up to this point had been preparation for what came next. We propose a true alliance between humans and dragons, Anna said. Not a trade agreement or a diplomatic treaty. A full partnership aimed at preparing for whatever is coming. She activated a new set of displays, these showing technical blueprints that made Lyra's breath catch. Ships, weapons, defensive systems, and infrastructure designs that combined the best of both species' capabilities. These are hybrid technologies, Anna explained. Dragon power systems with human control interfaces, dragon materials with human manufacturing techniques, dragon ancient knowledge with human analytical methods. The designs were beautiful and terrifying. Ships that could travel faster than anything currently in space, weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them, defensive systems that could protect entire star systems from attack. The performance specifications are incredible, Lyra admitted, but building these would require resources from both our civilizations. Yes, Anna agreed. That is why this must be a true partnership. Not dragons hiring human workers or humans buying dragon technology. Equal contribution, equal control, equal benefit. The word equal hung in the air like a challenge. Dragons had been the dominant force in galactic politics for thousands of years. Other species looked to them for leadership and protection. The idea of treating any other species as true equals was revolutionary. My advisors will resist this, Lyra said. Dragons have led galactic civilization since before humans left their home world. And that leadership has been successful, Anna acknowledged. But the situation is changing. Whatever force has been manipulating galactic development is far more advanced than anything dragons have faced before. Traditional approaches may not be sufficient. Ben stepped forward again. Your Majesty, I have seen how your engineers work. They are skilled at maintaining and operating advanced systems, but they rarely question why those systems work the way they do. Humans excel at asking why and finding better ways to do things. Are you saying dragon engineering is inferior? Not inferior, Anna said quickly. Different. Dragon technology is elegant and powerful. Human technology is adaptable and innovative. Separately, each approach has limitations. Together, they could create something unprecedented. Lyra walked around the room, studying the hybrid designs from different angles. The more she looked, the more impressive they became. These were not simple combinations of existing technologies. They represented entirely new approaches to engineering problems. What would this partnership look like in practice? She asked. Anna activated another display showing organizational charts and resource allocation plans, joint research facilities on both human and dragon worlds, mixed teams of engineers and scientists, shared access to manufacturing capabilities, combined funding for major projects, and command structure, joint councils for major decisions. Dragon expertise would guide projects involving ancient technologies or large-scale construction. Human expertise would guide projects involving innovation or system optimization. Lyra saw the logic in the proposal, but she also saw the political complications. Other species will view this as a threat. Humans and dragons working together could easily dominate the galaxy, which is exactly why we need to be careful about how we proceed, Anna said. We propose starting small. Joint projects that benefit everyone. Shared research that advances galactic knowledge, public demonstrations that this partnership serves the common good. And if these shadow manipulators try to stop us? Anna's expression became grim. Then we will be ready for them. These hybrid technologies are designed to be superior to anything currently known. If someone has been secretly controlling galactic development, they will not expect this level of innovation. Lyra made her decision. The threat was real. The opportunity was unprecedented, and her instincts told her that Anna and Ben were trustworthy. I accept your proposal, she said formally, but I have conditions. Name them, Anna replied. This partnership begins with a trial period, one major project to test how well our species can work together. If it succeeds, we expand the alliance. If it fails, we end the relationship with no harm to either side. Agreed. What project do you have in mind? Lyra smiled, showing her sharp teeth. We are going to build a ship unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. 6 months later, Lyra stood in the observation deck of the most advanced shipyard in known space. Below her, the impossible had taken shape. The vessel stretched for nearly 2 kilometers, its hull gleaming with a crystalline metal that had never existed before the human-dragon partnership began. The ship was beautiful in a way that made her ancient heart race with excitement. Final systems check complete, announced Dr. Rodriguez through the communication system. All hybrid technologies are operating at optimal efficiency. The ship they had built together defied everything both species thought they knew about engineering. Dragon power cores provided energy output that exceeded previous records by 300%. Human control systems managed that power with precision no dragon engineer had thought possible. The hull used materials created by combining dragon metallurgy with human molecular assembly techniques, but the most impressive feature was invisible. The ship's computer core contained databases from both civilizations, processed through analytical systems that could recognize patterns across millions of years of technological development. If shadow manipulators were active in the galaxy, this ship could detect them. Your Majesty, Ben said, approaching her position. We are ready for the maiden voyage. Lyra nodded, though part of her still could not believe they had succeeded. The project had faced enormous challenges. Dragon engineers had struggled to work with human questioning of established methods. Human technicians had been overwhelmed by the complexity of ancient dragon systems. Political resistance from both sides had nearly ended the partnership 3 times, but they had persevered, and the result exceeded even their most optimistic projections. Where is our destination? She asked. The Kepler system, Anna replied, joining them at the observation window. Our analysis suggests it is one of the locations where shadow technologies first appeared. If we are going to find answers about who has been manipulating galactic development, that is where we should start. The ship's launch was witnessed by representatives from dozens of species. News of the Human-Dragon Alliance had spread throughout the galaxy, causing reactions ranging from excitement to fear. Some civilizations saw the partnership as a positive development that could benefit everyone. Others worried that 2 of the galaxy's most capable species working together would upset the balance of power. Lyra had addressed these concerns in diplomatic meetings, but she knew actions would speak louder than words. This mission would prove that the Alliance was dedicated to protecting galactic civilization, not dominating it. All stations report ready, came the announcement from the ship's bridge, initiating departure sequence. The vessel moved with grace that surprised everyone watching. Ships of this size usually required massive thruster systems and careful maneuvering to avoid damaging nearby structures. But the hybrid propulsion system provided both power and precision, allowing the ship to glide away from the station like a creature swimming through water. As they entered hyperspace, Lyra felt a satisfaction she had not experienced in decades. The dragon part of her nature appreciated the ship's raw power and advanced capabilities. The royal part of her nature was proud of the achievement her leadership had made possible. But most importantly, the ancient part of her nature sensed that they were finally taking action against a threat that had been growing in shadows for too long. "Contact," announced the sensor operator as they dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler. "We are detecting energy signatures that match shadow technology patterns." "Show me," Lyra commanded. The main display revealed a system that looked normal at first glance. A yellow star with several planets, asteroid belts, and the usual collection of natural phenomena. But the ship's advanced sensors revealed something else entirely. "There," Anna said, pointing to what appeared to be empty space between 2 planets. "The energy readings are coming from coordinates that show no visible objects." Cloaked facility? Ben suggested. Possibly, but the power output is enormous. Whatever is hidden there would have to be the size of a small moon. Lyra made the decision. That would define her reign. Take us closer, full stealth mode. If someone has been manipulating our entire galaxy, it is time we met them face to face. The ship crept forward, its hybrid stealth systems hiding them from detection while their sensors gathered increasingly detailed information about the mysterious energy source. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about galactic history. The hidden facility was not just large, it was ancient beyond measurement. The energy signatures matched technologies from civilizations that had vanished millions of years before the current galactic community had formed. Someone had been collecting and preserving knowledge from dead species for an incomprehensible length of time. We need to get inside, Anna said. The external scans are not enough. Agreed, Lyra replied. But carefully. If we are right about what this place is, whoever built it has capabilities far beyond anything we currently understand. What they discovered inside the facility would lead to the greatest adventure in galactic history. Evidence of a species, so ancient that they had watched the rise and fall of thousands of civilizations. Beings who had preserved knowledge and technology not for conquest, but for a purpose so vast it required the cooperation of every intelligent species in the galaxy. The shadow manipulations had not been preparation for war. They had been preparation for exodus. As Lyra and her human partners stood in the control center of the ancient facility, holographic displays activated around them. Star charts appeared showing the entire galaxy, but not as they knew it. These charts showed the galaxy as it would be in 50,000 years, with a dying star at its center and expanding zones of deadly radiation that would make most systems uninhabitable. The galactic core is going to collapse, Anna whispered, studying the projections. These beings have been preparing an evacuation plan for the entire galaxy. The ancient automated systems recognized their presence and began displaying more information, species profiles, technological assessments, and development timelines for every major civilization. The shadow technologies had not been distributed randomly. Each species had received exactly the advancements they would need to contribute to a massive galactic evacuation effort. Dragons, with their long lifespans and advanced materials science, were meant to build the massive transport vessels. Humans, with their adaptability and innovative thinking, were meant to solve the logistical challenges of moving billions of beings across intergalactic distances. Other species had been given technologies suited to their own unique capabilities. We have been preparing for this our entire history, Lyra realized. Every technological advancement, every alliance, every conflict that forced us to become stronger, it was all leading to this moment. Ben activated his recording devices, capturing everything they were seeing. We need to get this information back to both our governments. The scale of what needs to be accomplished will require every species working together, Anna finished. No single civilization could handle an evacuation of this magnitude. As they explored deeper into the facility, they found construction bays containing partially completed ships of incredible size, vessels designed to carry entire populations across the vast emptiness between galaxies. The technology was far beyond anything either humans or dragons currently possessed, but the blueprints showed how their hybrid innovations could be adapted and expanded. Your Majesty, Ben said, his voice filled with awe. This changes everything. The alliance between humans and dragons is not just about our two species anymore. We are going to need to unite the entire galaxy. Lyra felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. Her species had survived for millions of years by being cautious and protective of their own interests. But the evidence before her made it clear that survival now depended on something dragons had never attempted, trusting completely in cooperation with other species. Then that is what we will do, she said firmly. We will return to our worlds and begin the greatest diplomatic mission in galactic history. Every species, every government, every civilization must be brought into this effort. The journey back to Dragon Space gave them time to plan their approach. The evidence they had gathered was overwhelming, but convincing entire civilizations to work together would require more than just data. It would require demonstrating that cooperation could achieve things that no single species could accomplish alone. Their hybrid ship became the first example. As news of their discoveries spread, delegations from across the galaxy requested permission to examine the vessel and learn about human dragon engineering methods. The ship that had started as a trial project became a symbol of what unified effort could achieve. Within a year, the alliance had expanded to include 12 major species and dozens of smaller civilizations. Joint research facilities were established throughout the galaxy. Hybrid technologies that combined the best capabilities of multiple species began appearing in every sector. The shadow manipulations that had once seemed threatening were revealed as gifts from ancient guardians who had spent millions of years ensuring that galactic civilization would be ready when the time came. Lyra stood once again on the observation deck of what was now called Unity Station, the largest cooperative construction project in galactic history. Below her, representatives from 47 different species worked together on the first of the great evacuation vessels. The ship would take another decade to complete, and hundreds more would be needed, but the work had begun. "Your Majesty," Anna said, approaching with Ben and several other project leaders, "the Council is ready for your address." Lyra nodded and made her way to the main assembly hall. As she entered, thousands of beings from across the galaxy rose in respect. Dragons, humans, crystalline entities, energy-based life forms, mechanical intelligences, and dozens of other species all focused their attention on her. "Friends and allies," she began, her voice carrying through translation systems to every being present. "1 year ago, I discovered a human mechanic in my treasure chamber, doing something I thought was impossible. That discovery led to revelations that have changed our understanding of our place in the universe." She gestured toward the massive construction project visible through the transparent walls. "We now know that we are not just individual species competing for resources and territory. We are part of something greater, a galactic community that has been shaped and guided by ancient wisdom to prepare us for the greatest challenge any civilization has ever faced." The assembly listened in complete silence as she continued. "The work before us will take generations to complete. Our children and their children will continue what we begin today. But together we have the knowledge, the technology, and the determination to ensure that galactic civilization survives the coming changes." She looked directly at Ben and Anna, remembering the moment when everything had changed. "A wise human once told me that together we could accomplish things that neither species had ever imagined. Today we prove that truth applies to our entire galaxy." The cheers that erupted from the assembly could be heard throughout the station. As Lyra returned to the observation deck, she reflected on how much had changed since that day in her treasure chamber. The Dragon Queen, who had once valued solitude and the protection of her own kind, had become the leader of the greatest cooperative effort in galactic history. The future was uncertain, and the challenges ahead were enormous. But for the first time in her long life, Lyra felt truly confident that they would succeed. The galaxy had finally learned to work as one, and it had all begun with a human mechanic who dared to fix what others thought was broken forever.